Do you know what Islam says? It says that life's the greatest test. It says that life's a borrowed space, returned upon rest. A way of life, a way of life, a way of life, a way of life. Islam is a way of life, a complete way.
This is your brother Imam Ahmed Al-Hadi Sharif. Inshallah, tonight we will start our program, very interesting program, the program that we named The Journey to Islam. Tonight we have a special guest with us, Brother Josh Angel, also known as Mu'adh, Brother Mu'adh Angel.
That music is very, even throughout the world, music is something that is common amongst all people. So my upbringing was no different. I was raised with music playing day in and day out. There was never a day that went by except that the music was turned to 11 and you're knowing your neighbors next door. And that's just how I lived. And then when I was 15 years old, I told myself I had my whole entire wall covered with musicians. You couldn't tell me the color of my wall. It was just musicians, whether they be guitarists, drummers, vocalists, singers, you name it. And it was my life. I was 101% dedicated to it. I remember clearly like it was yesterday. I was 15 years old. I looked at those people on that wall, and I said, someday I'm going to become the greatest guitar player that ever lived. And from that moment on, I literally dedicated every single moment of free time that I had, without exaggeration, to that. I had 2 guitars in my bathroom. That tells you how dedicated I was. Literally, before Islam, I had girlfriends, of course, and literally the girlfriends would get jealous because I would tell them, go away, because I want to play guitar. I would wake up, my guitar would be in my hand, my amp would still be on, I would sit up and I would start playing from there. And there was guitars in my car. If I was going to get some milk out the fridge, I had a guitar in my hand. That's how dedicated I was. And I did that for many, many, many years. And then some things kind of led to me getting maybe a little bit discouraged. We just couldn't keep a band together. And right around that same time, I met a Muslim.
Okay. Before that, inshallah, yes, we're going to hear enough about it. Your background, your family.
Be a Christian. My mom had to drag me out of bed every Sunday. I hated going to church, like most kids. I just wanted to sleep in on my day off before I had to go back to school. But unfortunately, she used to drag me to church every Sunday. We'd have to do choir. We'd sing in the church. We'd do all the things that we were supposed to do as taught as Christians. And at the same time, I always had doubts. Like things didn't just necessarily make sense to me as to the Trinity and things like that of that nature. So by the time, even though I was still, of course, under my mom's supervision, so I got to do what she tells me, by the time I was 12, 13, I had already basically given up on Christianity and just said I was going to be, I guess you would say, agnostic, where I believed in God, but I didn't have a true religion that I deemed that was mine. You don't have proper knowledge of it. So I do remember being in high school, and there being threats of one in particular where it was said that the Muslims were planning to hijack the school buses and they were going to blow them up. And me being 15 years old, freshman in high school, I didn't know anything. I had no Muslim friends, no family members were Muslim. And so all I knew was what I heard. And I was like, man, I'd like to see one of the Muslims try to, I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight for myself and my family. So that's all I knew. And eventually, like I said, once again, going back to I finally met a Muslim, and it took me meeting that person for me to have a completely different perspective on what Islam was. Before then, I was not afraid as if I'm not going to protect myself, but cautious and leery of like, are these people really out to harm us? More questions, and then when you start hearing the oneness of Allah, His unique oneness, that there is nothing Laysa kamithlihi shay. There's nothing like unto him. And you think back, because I remember thinking when I was a kid, back in the days when I was drugged to Sunday school and church and all these things, I'm like, how is God a man? You know, a man, he needs so much. He needs to eat. He needs to sleep. He needs to use the restroom. At one point, he's breastfed. You know, I'm just being real. Like, how could this be the creator of the heavens and the earth? And so once I started hearing about what's called at-tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's what really drew me into, okay, this is something. I want to learn more about this.
So you